Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me again today on the Lights Too Bright podcast. Today, I have the absolute greatest pleasure of talking to one of my oldest optometry friends, someone, I guess nowadays she would be labeled my day one because we've known each other since the first day of uni. She's had compared to me, a really, really different journey. And I think it's a fascinating journey. And I've managed to persuade her to come on and have a chat. So without any more blurb, I would like to introduce Gurpreet Chana. Hi, Gurps.
Hi, mate. You all right? It was a very sweet
Yes,
intro. Day one, ride or die.
that is right. That's what the kids say, isn't it? Day
That's what
one
they say.
now.
That's what they say. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
first day of
but
university.
yeah. So what? Look, 96. We went to uni together. We started uni together.
How was that? Like
So
30 years? Yeah.
it just,
Crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah. You look exactly the same, Gurps.
No, not at all. Few white hairs coming through, some wrinkles.
not not this
You know,
much.
it's not the same. I wish, I wish, but it's all good. You got a few more white hairs, don't
So,
you?
thank you. Right, Gerbs. I know you're nervous. You said you're nervous. That's fine. Then we are
Yeah.
going to talk. Initially, we're going to talk about. I'd just like to know because there's some things I don't know. We've known each other ages. I mean, we know each other's families, but I think there's certain
Yeah.
elements of your journey that I'm not aware of. So, I want to start with for our audience, and I bet a lot of them know you because everyone seems to know Gerbs from Boots. So, um,
For the
where
good stuff.
did you
For the
grow
good
up? Yeah, the good stuff. Only the good stuff. Where did you grow up? Where kind of is home now? And did you always want to be an optometrist?
So I think actually, let's start from the beginning. Where did I grow up? Not far
Yeah,
from you. So we're kind of what, 10 minutes away from each other in West
yeah,
London.
yeah.
Still in West London. Got married, met my partner, and we're still in the hood, so to speak. Optometry, where did it start? So in my family, we've got a few optoms. Yeah, one of them owns one of the biggest sort of diabetic centres in the country, in Southall.
Okay.
So he was always like, "Oh, you should do optometry or something about medicine or dentistry." And then obviously my parents, being Asian and what have you, they're always going to say, "Yes, this is a good idea. You should do that." I wanted to when I was 16. I remember I used to watch LA Law all the time, and in my head, I want to be a lawyer. So I actually initially chose French, government and politics, and law as my A levels, and much to the dismay of my parents. That quickly then changed. I think it was just conversations that we had, and I ended up then doing maths, chem, bucks as well, which I ended up dropping. And then I took the long way round with my A levels, and then eventually just
Okay.
ended up getting the necessary grades for optometry. Was I happy about it initially? No, I felt like I was, you know, coerced into it. But would I
Yeah.
change that journey? Probably not so much. No, but it was always that you should do a 9 to 5 job, being a woman, this, that, and the other. So you're always going to get that from Asian parents, certainly back then. Anyway,
I, I think I was chatting to. I can't remember who I was chatting to actually. And we were talking about cultural influences on professional um, journeys, on expectations professionally. Actually, I'm pretty certain it was Purvi I was talking to, and she was kind of like, this 9 to 5 job where you go home and
yeah,
you can
yeah, feed the
do
kids,
do do the do the
just do all
do
the
the family
other stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, is it different now? Probably. I mean, I feel like our children have a bit more choice, but I still see a lot more women in the profession, certainly when we're sort of with the pre-regs and doing the uni stuff. There's still a lot more, I feel, more Asian women in there.
Do you think there's more women in the industry now than when we were at uni? I feel like maybe there is. I think there's been a shift.
Yeah. Because whenever we get a locum in, if I'm scrolling through which locums we have over the month, I reckon at least 75 to 80% are women who would only work
Okay.
part time. as well.
Yeah.
So certainly more women now in the profession, which is nice. Look, and I guess we're lucky that it's a profession that allows us to work part-time and, allows us to have the hours where we can have a balance home life, work life. So yeah, I guess it's naturally going to go that way.
So what actually that leads me into it. So what do you do now? What is your job? What is your
What is
role?
my job? I'm an optometrist.
Yeah.
I don't test very much. I kind of help manage the store that I'm in. That was only supposed to sort of be a 3-month job, but then that's sort of because I had the experience over the years before I had my children. We'll come back to that. So yeah, I'm just there managing.
Okay.
I'm testing, but I'm only there sort of 3.5 days a week. So I'm lucky that I can still be part time. So that's what I do. I still have
So
pre-regis.
what do you do when you're not doing testing? Like, so I know you. So when
Yeah.
you're all over LinkedIn, being the face of a major multiple and a national multiple, how does that happen? How do you end up doing things like that?
I mean, I was lucky. I think because I've been with the company so long, the people that you meet along the way or things that I was doing in head office, they would approach me about it because I was quite comfortable, talking in front of others and going on. Obviously, not today's, but I was just comfortable doing that kind of stuff, doing a lot of training and development, being with the pre-regs, taking a few of them together and just doing whatever. So they approached me and I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a go. What's the worst that's going to happen? And it's kind of grown since, not as much as yours with your millions of followers.
I don't.
Yeah. And I guess it wasn't meant to be as sort of serious or as, popular as it's turned out. So I've been quite lucky. I've done a few funny ones along the way, but it's been nice. I think it just mixes it up, doesn't it? Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
So I
So
mean
yeah,
that nicely leads into what I was going to say. So we career-wise very, very different journeys, right?
yeah,
So I've pretty much worked, I think, for everyone. I've lived
yeah.
abroad, worked abroad, come
Those
back,
days.
did whatever, all this stuff. But you have only ever, as far as I know,
Yeah.
been with one company
Yeah.
who you are still with. So what was your stepping stone journey through? I mean, I can say Boots. We're not saying anything that people don't know. But so what was your journey through Boots
So
to get to where you are?
so I started out as a Saturday kid in the chemist a really, really long time ago. And then I was quite lucky through that because I was in uni at the time. I managed to get on the summer placement. So that would have been end of our second year. And when was that? 99? No, 99. Yeah. I mean, I can't even remember. How long ago was that? Feels like a lifetime. And then from there, 99, and then ended up staying on as a Saturday kid there. So just moved from the chemist across to the opticians. Then they offered me a pre-reg, so I did that in Wimbledon. From there, I was then offered a mobile position in sort of High Wycombe, West London. I did that for 2 years, and I thought, oh, okay. I worked in loads of different stores whilst being a mobile. I mean, Slough being one I used to do every Friday. And that gives you the skills to work anywhere at pace, 20-minute testing, all of that, and in different languages. So that was really good. As much as I hated that, but at the same time, I learnt a lot
Yeah.
from that. And then I moved to Reading store because they wanted me and a couple of the others to go across as senior opsoms to work in the flagship stores. I did that for about a year. The manager there at the time was really supportive, and the regional manager then approached me and said, "Do you want to go into managing?" And he goes, "How about I put you in Ealing? You can test and you can manage at the same time." A really established team. So I thought, all right, why not? Came across and then stopped testing, just managed. At the same
Yeah.
time, I was doing clinical roles. I had pre-regs as well. I started pre-regging really early on in my career because I was lucky that I was able to do it alongside a really experienced optometrist. She gave me sort of the necessary tools for that. So I was very lucky. So all of that, I just thought I wanted not just to be a testing machine. I thought I'm
Okay.
the only person that's going to make my journey different and keep me motivated. And so the whole teaching and development, that was a big one for me. That, as well as managing, that really challenged me, but I loved it at the same time. And because they kept changing my job roles, every couple of years, there was no time for me to ever sort of get bored in the same company.
Okay.
Doing that sort of clinical governance roles. I was moving around different areas within London. It's been brilliant. I've loved it. And I've never then felt I've needed to leave. And then when I had my children, I kind of thought, all right, I've done a lot. Now it's time for me to spend some time with the family. And thankfully, the company were really kind and gave me flexible hours, part-time. So I've been doing that for the last 12 years, and it's just worked for my lifestyle. The store is literally like 9 minutes from my house. I feel like I've got a really good balance. I'll get home at about 4ish. You still work with your kids. So I've never felt like I've ever needed to go anywhere else. I have looked, other people have approached me, but nobody was ever able to match my holidays, the flexibility. And they've always sort of said to me over the phone, you're really lucky with what you have. You're not going to get that elsewhere. And so then in my head, it was like, well, I'll stay here then. And I have. I've been happy. So that's been my journey, I guess.
So listening to that, what's really interesting is the fact that you said I'm, correct me if I'm wrong. You've said that when opportunities had arisen, you took them rather than shying away from opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Because you can get stuck in a rut. You don't want to be that 25-minute tester in a corporate company and just doing the same thing day in, day out. And I feel that would just drive you insane. It certainly did me after that first year. And I thought, what can I do differently here? Which is then why I quickly went into additional supervisor for pre-regs, because that then keeps your head ticking over and challenging you. That's what it's all about. You don't want to. I certainly can't do the same thing day in, day out. So I then took it upon myself. Well, okay, well, what is out there? And when the opportunities come, I thought, let's do this. What's the worst that's going to happen? So for me, I think that was important for me to do.
So I just want to come back to it because it's quite interesting. So you're saying that it took you about a year before you realised that purely site tests were just not for you.
Yeah. I mean, look,
there's
everything you learn in your pre-reg, you come out of it and you're all like, oh wow, this is amazing. You enjoy the financial benefits of it, certainly. But then after a year, you're kind of like, is that it? What else is there? For me, and for some people, it's enough.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking anyone who thinks it's for them. It's just enough. But I
think some people are really happy in it, and good for them if they can do it.
Yeah,
I'm like you. I can't.
Yeah, and I think with us, if we look at our circle of friends, not just within optometry, all of our friends are so successful. We're all really like-minded. Everyone wants to try something different. And, everyone's really pushed themselves and they've done so well in their career, and that drives you as well. So I have a really good bunch of girlfriends that just like CEOs or, head up big departments in these corporate companies, and they love it. And they're still mums. And I'm thinking, well, I can do that as well. And your own wife, she's a professional as well. Big up to Sage.
She did ask me. She said, "Can you please ask Gurp how she manages to go to so many restaurants?" I said, I'll pass on that question.
Because being a mum does not stop you in your life. And even when I got married, it was so important that we have our time, but I still need to see my friends. And when we all meet up, we love eating out, don't we? We're foodies. Why should we stop that? I can't last beyond 10, 11 o'clock, but hey.
Nothing's new then. Not much has changed, Gurps. Not much has changed.
I'm still not partying.
So you got into pre-reg quite early. You said pre-reg supervision.
Yes.
And so when you were pre-reg supervising, did you have someone? You said you had someone with you who was kind of co-supervising, or
the principal supervisor. So
Yeah.
I think I had been qualified 2 years at that time,
Yeah.
a year and a half maybe. And so she wasn't always there. So they asked me, look, do you want to help as well? You may know him. He was my first one. So we'll always have a special relationship. Imran Javed,
Imran.
Dr.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a good lad. So I saw him in Dubai recently. We caught up, which was really nice. So he was the first. You know, in fact, some of the things he used to say, that also got me thinking as well. So he never wanted to just be an optometrist. For him, it was his
Okay.
stepping stone into medicine and how he
So
wanted to do it.
just before you keep going, Gurps, just so that the audience know, Imran Javed is a consultant ophthalmologist, pediatric consultant ophthalmologist now,
Legendary
who
state.
used to be in Nottingham and now is in Dubai.
Yeah, more so.
Sorry, gone, Gurps. I just wanted to
Oh
fill
yeah,
that
no.
in
So
for
just
the audience.
listening to him, I mean, that was so inspiring, so inspiring. And I just thought, if he's doing that, I can do something as well. Granted, not as well as him, but you know, I could do. And I think that also then triggered something in me. So I just don't want to do this, sit in the room all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then I got into it pretty quickly. The lady that I was supervising with, I would say she helped mold me in optometry really early on. She mentored me a lot. Rose Ashton. So she was also the one that sort of helped push me to just be more brave and just do what I want to do. She was like, "What?
How
You are this."
important would you say it is to build those kind of relationships with people who are, people you're aspiring to, building those relationships? Do you,
Yeah,
some people can just do it. Some people just get on with it. But I wouldn't be probably doing this or doing some of the stuff I was doing if I hadn't have met Brian, just because Brian's outlook on the profession was very different. His wanting to share information and share knowledge, and it's quite, you kind of catch that enthusiasm, and it comes up a lot in these podcasts, in that, who you meet really can guide where you go. So
yeah,
I mean, it is important. Would you? I think it's probably
definitely.
one of the most important things in the
Yeah,
profession.
yeah, absolutely. I think I've been lucky that I've always managed to always work with good people, the ones that have always been quite open and truthful about what's out there, and allowed me to progress. You know, you get
Yeah.
some managers that will be, oh, like, you're a really good optim. I want you to stay in my store. No, they've pushed me to do better, be better. And that has then driven me to want to do the same for others, which you can usually see from when I'm doing stuff on LinkedIn about pre-regis. That's massively important to me. I think if I've been given opportunity, then it's nice to give opportunity. So when we go to any of these networking events, I will usually then take pre-regis with us because it's important for them. I didn't have that during my pre-reg, and I always thought, I want to do that for the ones that I have. So I'd like to think that I have done that for my pre-regis, and they will remember me for that. So, but yeah, definitely, the
Everyone.
more you're talking, sharing your knowledge, giving them opportunity, then yeah, it's brilliant. Look at you. You've always done
I,
more than
I
this. You've
get
always been
bored,
there.
Gurps.
I
I get
know,
bored.
I know. But
I
I
like
wouldn't just,
talking to people,
it's not just about Brian. You've always been like this. You've always been wanting more.
but that's driven by boredom. That's driven by not being satisfied with just where it's like, it's almost problematic to some point, really, because I'm always like, right, well, I've done this now. What's the next thing? And it's trying to then juggle it around, because I got, Sage, we've got the boys and
Yeah,
stuff. So
it is hard.
it's like, right, well, now I can't just drop stuff and move to another country, because, well, I feel like dropping stuff and moving to another country. It
It would be
doesn't
no,
happen.
no, no. I think,
So
if you've got that support network at home as well, then you're really lucky. I've been lucky. Now there's allowed me to, not allowed me, that's the wrong choice of words. He has supported me and let me do whatever I want to do. Like, he'll usually roll
Yeah.
his eyes if I have a new LinkedIn post or something on social media. And then people at his work is like, why is your missus on there? Kind of thing, what is she doing? And, but he likes it as well. He does get involved. I mean, I took him along to the first time to, 20, not 2020,
100%. 100%.
yeah. And, you know, he secretly enjoyed it, even though he was like carrying all my stuff around, bless him. But it was nice for him to see that as well. And he's like, God, you
Yeah.
really do talk a lot to people. And I'm like, yeah, because he doesn't usually see me in my work environment. So, his job is completely different from, like, he hasn't got a clue about science, whereas I don't really have a clue about IT or health, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's good if you've got that, someone who supports you and allows you to do, you know, just run off the way. Sage enables you to do your stuff.
It's a bit of pros
Enable
and
me.
cons, bit of navigating. Yeah. It is good. So from a one, so what is the thing you enjoy doing most now? Is it the pre-reg? I mean, from what you're saying, it sounds like the pre-reg, the mentoring is really where you seem to get most joy, because that's what you keep coming back to. You come back to pre-reg and you
Yeah,
come back to mentoring.
definitely.
Do you do you feel the students have changed? Do you feel expectations have changed?
Yes. I think as we get older, you kind of, how did you actually get through life? Sometimes I do think that. Just, is there common sense? I don't mean,
Yeah.
maybe I came across like that when I was doing my pre-reg, but I did feel like I was more independent. They need a lot more
Yeah.
handhold, which I'm okay with. Some more than others. And I used to say, no question is stupid. Don't worry, just ask me. There's some questions. Yeah, how did you pass your final? So, no, but there, I do feel that they're certainly luckier because there's all, loads more information rather than us.
Yeah.
Remember, we used to go to the library to do our dissertation and photocopy thousands of encyclopedias. I mean, they've got everything at the touch of a hat now. So we,
Yeah.
so it's very different. I feel the people that come out of optometry in university now than from when we did it. I feel we're more
So
braver.
I've got so much respect for anyone who can do teaching at that level, at that new grad level. I don't have the
I know.
patience for new grad level, mainly because and it is, and you know what, it is probably because I'm old, right? I'm old. I've been through it, and I remember one of our friends being shouted at by their supervisor in the clinic at City
Yeah.
because they tried to do a binocular vision assessment on someone who had like a massive strab.
I remember you telling
And
me we had a laugh over this.
and and you know what, it was just like, not while the patient was there, when he was getting his feedback, and we just all laughed. We just went, well, you don't want to do that again, do you? And we just giggled, and we just moved on.
No,
And
no, I know. Just
then my experience when I was doing some supervising, I was like, I can't do this, because I can't be honest, and people were getting offended,
yeah,
and I was like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm not doing this.
There are a lot
So I just
softer.
stopped.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot softer. There's more tears that you see. They certainly need more nurturing and definitely more hand holding. But I still enjoy it. You can liken it to, maybe it's my maternal instinct coming out. I can't help that.
Yeah.
I do get told
But
by,
this is why I have so much respect for you, because to be able to do it, and you know what, it is a generational thing. They are a different generation. Things are different. The way they're, you know, what life experiences they've had are different to life
yeah,
experiences we had.
yeah,
And you can't, when they get to our age, they'll probably look at the new grads and they'll probably be thinking, oh God, what's happening? But now that I'm in my late 80s, it's kind of clicked. I've kind of sit there and I think of some of the people who are our age when we were that age, and I went, shit, I think I
yeah,
get it. I think
yeah,
I
yeah,
can,
yeah.
and I understand why they maybe were like that. But I think for the most part, and I like to say this, I've said this a couple of times, the profession is quite friendly.
Well,
And
yeah, it's
if you
not as
want to talk to someone, yeah, but you can approach anyone through social media,
absolute.
anything now. And most of our peers and colleagues, unless it's a really stupid question, will make an attempt to give you some kind of guidance, not necessarily do all your homework for you, but give you guidance, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, I
Really,
mean, you can
really
just
nice.
literally ping someone on these group chats now, just say, "Oh, can you help me with this?" with a patient sat in front of you. We didn't have
Yep.
that back then. Remember when I first qualified, my first clinic alone. One of my uni friends, Omar, he was actually working in B just up the road.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I know. I
ran.
remember Omar.
You better come here
Yeah.
and have a look. Is this an RAPD or not? Because you crap yourself. So,
Yeah.
and now it's like if I don't know something, I'll sort of put it on one of our chats with my sister or what have you, and I get an instant message. So from
Yep.
that aspect, yeah, it's certainly everything is more accessible. I think we had to think more and we had to look in Kamsky. It's not like we had to physically open a book to do that. Bloody
Yeah.
hell, it makes us sound well old.
We are
Yeah.
well
So,
old, Gurps. Yeah.
oh,
We are well old. I think there is, yeah, pros and cons. I think to this generation, there's pros and cons, and it. I feel sometimes a bit like people come into the profession and they don't quite understand the scope of what we do.
yeah,
And so, particularly with people of our ethnicity, they
yes,
kind of come into it like, well, you'll make good money. It's 9 to 5.
yes. It's
And
easy.
that's
You'll
more
be
of the
okay.
core thought of it, rather than actually you're going to be stopping people go blind. You're going to be helping people on a day-to-day basis. So, and but there's also the element of, depending on where you end up, there's the element of, and there could be a retail element. So just bear that in mind.
Yes, and look, I think business is still business where I am,
Yep.
and certainly there are always going to be targets and what have you. But I'm also lucky that where I work, they've invested a lot in the clinical side of it. I thought, initially we weren't. So we're lucky that we have all of that now. And, one of their core values is it's not just, you need to do more than just an eye test. You've got to do all the additional stuff that you do as well. So, they're
Yep.
going more down that whole sort of indie feel as well. But yeah, I mean, granted, you've got to make money because that's going to pay your bills um, for the store. But yeah, definitely we're luckier now that you know, OCT is standard. We didn't have any of that back then. We do optomat as an additional or as a clinical if you want it. And then you've got all the mech stuff, Q stuff, all the enhanced services and all the dry eye stuff that you do as well. So it just mixes it up. And I think if you have access to that, then yeah, definitely just do it. I think this is why I struggle with just say people who are locums will come in, just do the one thing one day and off they go. For me, it's about those relationships and, building that trust and teams and again, all that equipment, the networking, all that. I love all of that. So that's a big part of what we do. And I feel that it's certainly more, as I said, accessible now and definitely
Yep.
important now, that whole networking thing. So yeah.
So I told you time would fly, right? So we cracked 30 minutes. We cracked
Halfway.
30 minutes at a
Wow.
breeze. At a breeze.
I was saying to
So
you, what
I've got two questions to ask you.
anyway.
Firstly, because you know as well as I do, there's always this kind of optometry practice A is better than practice B, or if you're in academia,
Yeah.
it's better than being, I don't know, in industry kind of
Yeah.
thing. Would you say, and I know the answer to this, but would you say that, would you recommend corporate optometry as as a good career path? Do you think, you know what, I've enjoyed this, and I think the fact that you've been in it for 30 years is testament to that it is a, you can have a really good career path just within one
Yes.
strand of the profession.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the question. But how would you modify it? What modifications would you make, do you think, to make sure that you enjoy it?
So
or
I
stay
think
interested?
for me, it was really important about, I wanted that balance. There was a point about 20 years ago, because I was so stressed, I think, with work. I ended up sort of knocking myself out for about 3 weeks and, chest infection. I just thought nothing is worth that. I've got to keep myself happy. So
Yeah.
for me, it was always a balance. But I think you've got to know what motivates you, what drives you. Whereas my sister's journey is completely different. You might want to talk to her. Whereas she was very clinical, academic, and did all of that. Whereas I ended up sort of staying on this corporate, being in the multinational. But there's no right or wrong path. Each your own, whatever drives you, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
You have to make your own path as well. Nothing's going to just drop in your hand. If you want to try something different, then you've got to put yourself out there. Definitely.
Yep.
You know, and then there's like your career as well, whereas you do a lot more clinical stuff and you wanted to do different things and what have you. And everyone's going to be different. I just don't feel that there's any right or wrong way. I've enjoyed my journey. Would I change it? There's probably things that I would have done differently, but
Yeah.
I think it was important for me to have a work life and home life balance. So that's why I've stayed where I am. I could have pushed
Yeah.
further, I think, done a lot more, head office stuff, but then I chose not to. But I might later on now that they're a lot older and self sufficient, my kids. So,
And you're not old. We crack jokes, but you're not old. So you got time. You got time.
hey, man, we're
Last
not in
question.
our pre-regis ages. What's that
Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah. I know.
So that makes
We
me laugh.
we are now old enough to be their parents.
Honestly, I had one of the kids the other day gave me a card, and I think I put it on LinkedIn. She was moving to another store. She was like, "You have been like a mother to me." All stuff like that, you know. But hey, we could have.
That's why I don't have students. I'm not having
It's
anyone
all
else call
right.
me old. Luckily, I have Brian as a reference point. So
You
I'm
are.
still
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
I'm still a
yeah,
kid.
yeah.
I'm still a kid.
Yeah.
Last question, Gurps, because
Okay.
we're at 35 minutes, and
I could go on for longer
so
now, could
now I've got you going. Now I've
I?
got
I
you
know.
going. Look at you.
No.
We'll have to cut. We'll come back for part two. But we'll get Ange involved, and
Yeah,
we'll have
she was
three of
like,
us.
"You didn't tell me you're doing this." I was like, "Wow, I forgot." I think she's waiting for a call. Get her on. She'll love it.
I'm going to see her in a couple of weeks. She's coming to the IP event I'm doing,
Okay, fine. Yeah, she
so
needs
I'll see her
grace.
then, and we'll have a chat. But you've had all these students, right? You've had all these pre-reg
Yeah.
students over the years. Is there kind of one piece of advice that you give them, or kind of life advice that you tend to offer or would offer to our listeners, viewers, just as a kind of exit?
I would always see be your authentic self. Don't try and be someone that you're not. I mean, I was never the most studious. I never got the best grades in uni before uni because we enjoyed ourselves. But I never got sort of, the highest marks and what have you. I was that average person, but I was good at communicating. I was good at making people feel comfortable. And so just be your authentic self. Just don't bullshit your way through stuff if you can, because they'll know.
Yeah.
So that for me, and I've always said that to my pre-regs, listen, don't do that. Just be real, and enjoy yourself. So, make your whatever you want to do, make it happen. No one's going to give it to you. You make it happen. I hope you are.
That is a fantastic piece of advice to end with. So I am gonna thank you again.
No, thank you.
It's
I said I was nervous
it's
about doing this.
I knew once I got you talking, Gurps, I knew it'd be like a waterfall. Now I'm going, right, now I've got to cut her off. Now I'm gonna stop this conversation. So I'm gonna end it here, and thanks a lot.
No, thank you.
And we will hopefully see each other soon. Dinner is somewhere planned and then rearranged, and then we will get it planned. All right,
Definitely.
thank you.
All right, give love to the babies.